That's right.
Taken down by the Ukrainian military. We hear that from the Ukrainian side. We see it on the images coming in. We're also hearing those reports on Russian state media. And that is significant, of course, because what it does show us, Biana, is that the Ukrainian air defense systems, as much as they need the Patriot systems that are to come online shortly and that Ukrainian forces are being trained on even now, have already seen an extraordinary improvement in their air defense systems. It is several hundred Russian planes, fighter planes that they say they've taken down now.
Can it be done? He will join us or die, Master.
Bakhmut, which has been fought over for the last 6 months, looks now as if it may fall to the Russians, the Wagner Group, who have been assaulting it. Prigozhin has said today that they've almost got it, and that's probably true. I think the Ukrainians will probably have to withdraw from Bakhmut. It won't matter strategically. This is a symbolic victory and a symbolic defeat for the Ukrainians, but there's not a lot of strategic importance in that. But there is in Vuhledar, further south, because that's the high ground, dominates the area around it and dominates the route north. And the Russians have been attacking at Vuhledar. We've been watching this for a couple of weeks now, but it's in the public domain so we can talk about it, which is the case that the Ukrainians have been leaving the roads. There's not many roads into Vuhledar. They've been leaving the roads open and clear and putting mines in all the fields between them. Very muddy, wet fields at the moment. Russian tanks have been coming up the roads, have been being hit, and all the tanks behind them have been transferring into the fields and hitting the mines. It's been a tremendous battle between tanks and armoured vehicles and landmines. And the Ukrainians are able to keep putting more mines in, both secretly at night and also through artillery. You can actually use artillery to drop mines into an area these days. So the Russians are doing quite poorly there. Meanwhile, in
just then,
tens of thousands of convicts who've been taken from prisons in Russia since June and thrown into the meat grinder that is the front line of the war in Ukraine. As he waited in line to use the phone, he told us he had 3 years of his prison sentence left and was recruited with a promise of freedom and good pay.
These military guys show up in full uniform and say, here's how it is. You fight for half a year. If you're alive and well, you get a full pardon. 100,000 rubles per month. Yes or no? I say yes. I figure I can fight for half a year.
Almost immediately, he was transported to an airfield by prison bus and flown to Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine, where he received about a month of training. Then, he was ordered to storm a village.
They point to some coordinates and tell the commander, go there, take the positions and fight. That's it. So we go, we get there, they're shooting. Everything is brutal, like war, real brutal.
After securing a foothold in the village, the convicts were ordered to retreat and were replaced by a different group of soldiers. Although we weren't able to independently verify Artyom's account, it corresponds to assessments of how Russia is using convicts as expendable fighters thrown at the enemy in human waves. For many of the convicts being held here, the path from a Russian prison to a Ukrainian prisoner of war camp is very short, because the Russian military uses the convicts as storm troops, and the casualty rate is very high, and so is the rate of capture. This man was recruited from a prison in the occupied Donetsk region of Ukraine, and was told...
we have enemy ships in Sector 47.
It's a trap.
And so across eastern Ukraine, sortie after sortie seeks out Russian positions. To hold the ground, you need to hold the skies. Such as the battle in the east, survival means fighting as close to that ground and as far from that sky as possible.
We have a very hard job, especially for us now is...
This is how legends are born.